Welcome to TheFinanceStory.com. And today I have with me Joydeep Roy, the Executive Director, Human Resources at PwC. He has helped several businesses with key human capital initiatives that drove profitable growth. In the past, Joydeep has worked with EY and he has also been with the Tatas. We're going to talk about his career and much more. Joydeep, how are you?
Absolutely fine, Vishal. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
You know, you had a long, illustrious career. Very early on, you were at the BSNL merger. You want to talk about that wonderful start?
Absolutely, Vishal. And I think I always see to it that when we actually grew, the career actually moved not by design, but actually by default, right? But in the process, you get attracted with the nice things you work, nice leaders that you work with, and of course, good organizations that propels you to do the best of the things that you actually like, right? And I think the whole VSL merger was actually a very good opportunity for to understand what behavioral culture amalgamation is all about. When a big private sector takes over, huge Navaratna public sector, how exactly the things need to be culturally amalgamated. And that's a huge learning from my side. And I think from there, Larsen and Toubro, Reliance, EY, and now PwC, where actually I am. And I think that really helped me to learn that we do HR or human resource in the process, but actually we're all business. And when you are actually business, you first need to understand, do the business understands your language the way you are actually speaking? And I think the best thing that I learned, that speak the language we business understand and help them in driving profitable growth and competitive advantage. And I think that's where we add value. And when you actually add value, you stay relevant for very longer time, and you are actually into the fast dial, or in that sense, when you leave a bit of yourself into your stakeholders, into your business, they always get gravitated towards you. That's my
Absolutely. This is brilliant, Joe. I hear that there's a lot of hiring going into PwC. I'm very keen. What is the buzz all about? Usually, when you talk about PwC, it's always about auditing, consulting, accounting, whatever, risk advisory. You're also looking at technology hires, I hear.
so what in PwC, I presently lead the talent supply chain for PwC India, right? Now, it's very interesting. I always say that it is talent supply chain which is actually competing. It is not the organizations which is actually competing. And the whole thing is all about is that are we in a situation to give a predictive talent supply that ensures an organization has access to the right talent at the right time for the right value to drive profitable growth and competitive advantage, along with focusing on inclusion, diversity, and equity. Because what the business looks forward to, business looks forward that do I have the requisite skill set in the requisite time frame at the requisite time. And when I mention talent supply chain, it actually takes into account the conventional catchment areas that we do, right? Through lateral hires, campus, gig workforce, everything to get it together. But when you have a predictable supply chain, the model is, what exactly you are doing in build, buy, borrow. To that extent, hire, train, and deploy. And I think the way we are progressing, the catchment areas become the same. We fish from the same pond. How confident we are that the budgeted growth that you have taken into account, you have the requisite skill set available to propel those businesses for growth. And I think this is the conundrum we have to actually solve in the talent supply chain, which we are borrowing it out. The supply chain is a very old concept, which every organization actually done it. But are we actually doing it for talent?
Brilliant. You must be transforming your organization with the talent that is needed for the future. What is the kind of talent that you're looking for?
In our kind of organization, conventionally, if you look at chartered accountants that we hire for audit, tax, core assurance, direct, indirect tax, transfer pricing, along with the MBA grads, right? That's given. That will keep on hiring. But very interestingly, what I would like to say is that, in our kind of consulting domain, increased emphasis will be on how relevant you are in respect to your relevant skill and domain experience. And with pandemic, which you have realized that mostly, we are working through the distributed team. So distributed work culture, employers will look at skill sets with very high result orientation, impact skills of impact and influence, ability to connect the dots, and how you are actually navigating the ecosystem, because we're distributing team, you are empowered, you have to deliver your result. But having said that, the traditional qualifications like CA, MBA engineers will continue to be hired for us. But the focus, as I said, will be applied sciences, design thinking, treasury, Salesforce, arts, humanities, ESG, cyber, blockchain, data. Absolutely, these are the things that we are going to set aside for future.
Some people say all the, big fours, or for example, in this case, PwC, would like to invest in smart contracts or blockchain, the technology around it. What piques your interest and why? Because this is advice to younger people, saying of all the things that you've said, maybe these additional qualifications can help them get into your company faster.
Look, what we look at it, that technology is the backbone, right? So anything that you do, your understanding and your ability to double click, dip down in your respect to the understanding. If you're a finance professional, your ability to understand fintech has to be predominantly there. So how much comfortable you are with technology, with data sciences, with analytics is actually given. People will not ask whether you know it or not. It is given that you have to know it. If you are forensic technology is again the big area. If you talk about finance, fintech, if you're treasury, again linked to that. So I think without technology, you are not relevant today, right? If you talk about, when you talk, you look at it, how your behaviors are getting impacted by technology. Even today in applied science, in a psychology, it is also about what exactly, which website, what is your interest, it is getting actually tracked. So what I'm trying to say, all the new kids, new folks on the block, is that do you comfortably, aligned yourself to the latest happening of technology, marry it across with your domain understanding, that becomes the lethal combination.
Right? Absolutely. That is so well said. What are your type of hires today? Is it more at the junior level or at the lateral level, the senior level?
We're very clear that the delivery organizations or the delivery pyramid, that people actually do it as they step up from a consultant to manager to the directors to the partner. That's the way we grow, right? And I think the hiring will be happening largely at a fresher to 5 to 7 years of experience, largely because that's where the capacity building and the delivery engine will happen. SMEs, senior level, will keep on happening the way it actually happens, but the focus will be predominantly at the junior and the mid level, as they are the growth engines of our business.
That you look at hiring for the junior levels, is it for college? Is it through colleges, or would you depend on a firm to bring you all the CVs? How do you typically look at all the CVs and resumes?
Multiple pronged strategy. It is, of course, campus is always we're hugely dependent upon, because PwC dependently we have cleared whole our leadership pipeline through the various campuses, both MBA grads as well as engineer. So campus, always we stick to it. Lateral, both direct. Referral is a huge chunk for us, because when you exist for more than 150 years in a territory, you have a huge alumni database, right? You will exist for a purpose. You have a high recall, whether you start as an intern or you start as an article. So lateral and the referrals, of course, are there. And of course, targeted hiring through the agencies and headhunters always remains when we want to grow specific niche skills. Those are also there. But as a PwC, we go all along with all the multiple channels that we actually tap. But of course, direct hires has always been our preferred one, because we get huge referrals, both from our own guys as well as the partners and the alumni, and of course, campus.
Okay. I want to talk about, your partners. They come and say, I need a person who can understand AI technology and can come and sit in a business meeting and hold his or her own.
Look, very interesting piece. I'll just tell you that one is focused based mandated hiring. This is also going to happen, right? But what most interesting is that there are, who do you think are very opportunistic, who can add value to you? And as a PwC, our partners, directors are very open to it from a perspective that who is going to add value with what kind of skill, and are they reaching out to you? And it's a very opportunistic talent spotting from a perspective that, okay, these are the kind of skills or this kind of profiles that we are looking forward to, and they can be a very good addition to us, right?
Okay.
So one is designed growth, designed hiring, opportunistic hiring.
Okay. Upskilling is very important these days. You encourage senior management to upskill. You encourage even your juniors to constantly be up to date with learning modes to improve their skills. How important is upskilling or reskilling for you?
Look, any employee or prospective employee will always rate the opportunity to learn and develop their skill set as a major decision point when they're taking up a new assignment, or see to it that there's a potential to upgrade themselves and upskill themselves, right? And we ensure that. And we start our upskilling program from the day we roll out our offer that, okay, you are in the notice period, utilize your time to upskill yourself. Here are the bouquet of programs that you continue to do so that you can actually do it, and actually creating a recall value of PwC in them, right? And I think with the advent of newer technology and distributed team, both the organizations and this employee need to be equally invested in creating an ecosystem that encourages an upskilling. And PwC is very much aligned to it. And this is one of PwC's cornerstone of our growth. And
I agree with you.
and I think from an employee perspective, the continuous education is always going to help him or her to advance in their current career path. And I'll tell you personally what I believe in, that this upskilling, spiraling compensation war in this talent war is not going to hold any organization where they want to be. It is basically the learning opportunity, the culture, the career, that is going to be the cornerstone in days to come in their decision that I'm going to stay with an organization, not because of the compensation. I always tell people, chase for the career that's going to get it. Don't chase the compensation. Compensation is an outcome of the career that you actually chase.
My last and final question, a very important question. Tips in interviews for juniors. What are some of the tips that you would give them while they do their first interview? And what do you expect from a senior guy also?
I always tell, like in a part of my prepping up or the mentoring the new folks from the campus, is that do a thorough research, that what you want to be, what kind of work you want to be, and which are the organizations that you are actually chasing. Know those organizations pretty well and the role that you try to add value to it. And tell your story very nicely to help the guy who is actually assessing you to create the scenario for him or her, that this is what for you. Help them, him or her, to look at you from that perspective. And this will actually help the person to visualize that, okay, this is what Mr. X and Mrs. Y is actually, Miss Y is actually trying to tell me. And they will understand your potential, right? And understand your value. And I always tell that this will also help them to understand that, okay, this is the impact and influence you are trying to actually create. And my favorite part is, see to it that when you are leaving a little piece of you in him or her. And that's your recall value for that organization, for that assessor.
Oh, that's a fantastic point. What are you reading? Any one subject that you'd recommend us that you're currently reading? Something interesting?
And also, I think data science attracts me a lot,
Uh-huh.
right? And I see to it nowadays, actually, I'm doing it on data, skill, and with this new role that has come across on talent supply chain. My objective is that how do I create a ecosystem, you know, backward integration where I can create such ecosystem where there's a constant supply chain for an organization consulting like PwC, that okay, where do I get people from blockchain? Is it available in the market, or we can actually help them to create it?
That is a wonderful, wonderful interview. Thank you, Mr. Joydeep.